Solid, liquid, or gas? Solid, right? Does it say sodium hydroxide there? Sodium hydroxide adalah Na plus OH minus. Na plus OH minus. So it is an ionic compound. Ionic compounds have high melting and boiling point. Okay, high melting and boiling point. Okay. This is a beaker. What is this apparatus called? What does it measure? I know. What about? It doesn't measure weight. Weight is a force. What does it measure? It measures mass. Okay. There's a button here. I can turn the power on. It can measure mass. The question is, as the mass of sodium hydroxide, as the mass of sodium hydroxide increase, temperature rise also increase. How do you measure temperature? What is this thing called, Anik? Thermometer. Thermometer measures temperature. You want to get temperature rise. Temperature rise means how much has it increased? What is the change in temperature? Can thermometer measure change in temperature? If I have a thermometer, I give it to you. Now it's like that. Later on it's like that. Now it's 20. Later on it's 30. What is the change in temperature? So now it's 20. Later on it's 30. So what is the change? What is the change in temperature? Now it's 20 degrees Celsius. Sekarang is 20 degrees Celsius. Later on it becomes 30 degrees Celsius. You got it? 20 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius. I can read 20 degrees Celsius here, can I not? Later on I read it's 30 degrees Celsius, right? Can the thermometer tell me the rise in temperature? What is the rise in temperature? What does rise mean? Okay, so what is the rise in temperature? 10 what?
10 degrees.
10 degrees Celsius. Does the thermometer tell me it's 10 degrees Celsius increase? No.
Okay.
It tells you 20 degrees Celsius, it tells you 30 degrees Celsius. What do you need to do to get the... So what do you use to minus? You need two reading and then you press in your calculator. So thermometer tells you temperature, it does not give you temperature rise, you have to process, okay? So one experiment, maybe I use maybe only one like this mass, and then like one of that, and then this one I use 3 of it. I can use 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, 4 gram, and then I tambah water. Now, if I have water, I should really tambah empty dulu, empty first, and then let's say, can I use this to measure volume? Which one is the better apparatus to measure volume of water? Definitely this one, yeah, okay? So in both experiments, it's called a fair test. Supaya adil, are you going to change the volume of water? So I use 10 cm cube here, 10 cm cube, okay? And then I tambah. Do I want to read the thermometer first or do I add the sodium hydroxide first? No, read the thermometer first because kalau you inna check the temperature dulu, how do you know what is the change? You get it? So as you read the thermometer, this is called starting temperature, agree? Starting. Okay? Then what do? You have to add the sodium hydroxide, right? So I add the sodium hydroxide. The question cakap, it dissolved. It dissolved. Ada gas?
No.
This is a sodium hydroxide dissolving in water. There is no gas at all. So you mesti tunggu all of it dissolve because the question says it dissolved. And the temperature will go up. Then when it fully dissolves, when the temperature stops rising, that is your final temperature. So do a reading. Before you add the solid, starting temperature. After you add the solid and it dissolves fully, record the temperature. Agree?
Yes.
Just now I used 10 cm cube, 10 cm cube of water. Let's say I'm ready to do the second experiment. I'm ready to do the second experiment. I want to change the mass of sodium hydroxide. That is what you change. Okay? So do I want to change the volume of water?
No.
Tadi I used 10 cm cube of water. Should I use 20 cm cube of water here?
No.
Why not?
Soalnya kalau nggak ada.
What does it say in the question? Does it say change the volume of water?
No.
What are you changing? What does the question say? What is changing? Apa yang bertukar? The student states the mass of sodium hydroxide added to water is increased. So I just changed the mass. The mass is measured by using this apparatus. What is this one called again? You don't know the apparatus used to measure mass? It's called a mass balance. Mass balance. Okay? I cannot change the volume of water because I am only changing the mass of sodium hydroxide. Cuma boleh tukar one factor at a time. This is called control variable. Must keep constant because it is not what we are changing. What are we changing in this experiment? The mass of the sodium hydroxide. So I use the same volume. So what do I do in my second experiment? What do I need to do?
Add mass, more mass.
So straight away I add the mass.
No.
What do I need to do?
Measure first.
Measure what?
The temperature.
Measure the starting temperature first. Once I have starting temperature, what do I need to do?
Add.
Just now I added one small piece. Here I will add maybe 2 small pieces. I don't know. Let's say you add 2 small pieces, okay? 2 small pieces. You wait until everything dissolves and then you will record the highest temperature, correct?
Yes.
You have starting temperature, you have temperature at the end. So how do you calculate temperature rise? You calculate by taking the difference on the calculator. In the end, as the mass of sodium hydroxide increase, then you have a table. The mass maybe 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, 4 gram. What is your final minus initial temperature? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Then how do you prove the student is correct or not? If the mass that you are adding increases and the temperature rise, the change in temperature semakin meningkat, semakin higher increases, the student is correct. If not, it's wrong. The last thing is safety hazard. This solution is sodium hydroxide dissolved in water. Very, very corrosive. It can damage your eye punya cornea. Corrosive means it can burn your skin. What should you do?
Safety.
Safety glasses, you always have to use it in the lab. What do you need to do? If this get onto your hand, it will burn your skin. What do you need to do? You need to...
Careful.
You what? Sorry?
Careful lah.
Other than that, how? Because sometimes no matter how careful you are, things can happen, right? Accident can happen. So how do you prevent it from getting into contact with your skin? You use gloves, okay? So that is how you can minimize the hazard. Okay, it's 12:30. I think you should go.